Hi there, I'm Andrew. Welcome to Tech Support. Today, I'll be teaching you how to shoot a long exposure photograph. You can use this technique to do all sorts of cool effects, such as light painting, night photography, and astrophotography. A photograph taken with a long exposure means that you'll be manually adjusting the shutter speed so that it'll remain open for an extended period of time. There are a ton of variables when shooting in manual mode, but the most important things to consider are 1. The exposure. This is how much light reaches the photosensor. Now, to achieve good exposure, you'll need to know how to set the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO. And 2, the lens. This magnificent piece collects and focuses the light onto the photosensor. Different lenses have different f-stops. This allows you to control the aperture or focal length of a lens. Now, some lenses are fixed, so you can't change it or zoom, while others offer a lot more flexibility. Now, for the most part, Canon lenses will work with most Canon bodies, and Nikon lenses will work with most Nikon bodies. The lenses will have a dot on it, which will also be on the camera body. You just line them up, put them in, and twist it, lock it in. When changing lenses, you should always take extra care to prevent any dust from entering the camera body or the lens glass. And 3, aperture. This is the opening of the lens. The size of the aperture determines the amount of light the photosensor is exposed to. The aperture is measured in f-stops. The larger the aperture, the smaller the number. And the smaller the aperture, the larger the number. And 4, shutter speed. This is the amount of time the shutter remains open when taking a photograph. The longer the shutter speeds, the more light is collected by the lens. A subject moving quickly, such as traffic, should be set to a faster shutter speed, whereas a slower shutter speed would be used for a subject that isn't moving at all. The ISO controls the photosensor's sensitivity to light. The lower the ISO number, the lower the sensitivity. The higher the ISO number, the higher the sensitivity. This, however, can cause noise and graininess in your photos. Since we're shooting a long exposure, you want to keep your ISO very low. And at the same time, you'll have to compensate for it by keeping your shutter speed very slow. Also, another large part in taking long exposure photography is the stability of your camera. Since you're capturing light, you're going to want to make sure that you have something like a tripod or a monopod to ensure that your camera stays stable. It's very hard to take a long exposure shot handheld. Last of all, have fun. Take a few different shots with different shutter speeds and different f-stops, and check out the cool differences that you can make. Once again, I'm Andrew. Thanks for watching, and this is Tech Support.